Hello, the Sixth Doctor here, in the form of Colin Baker, sending greetings to the 20 megabyte Doctor Who podcast, which is apparently reaching its 500th edition. Well, I suppose the reason it's reaching its 500th edition is because A, it's about Doctor Who, which is extremely popular, and B, it's an extremely well-organised podcast by Adam Pearson, whom I know personally, because I've appeared at a convention of his in 2019 on the Isle of Wight, which was extremely well run. So I imagine the podcast is extremely well run too. So congratulations to Adam Pearson, congratulations to the 20 megabyte Doctor Who podcast, and keep listening, as they say. Best wishes from the Sixth Doctor. Old Sixie to you.
Hello and welcome to the 20 megabyte Doctor Who podcast, episode 501. I'm Adam, and I've been so busy I haven't actually been able to take in any potential... Oh, well, I'll pick up one. Hang on, I've got one before you butt in. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And she's back, it's Mary Lang.
We must feed.
Well, surely after the podcast being late, Mary, it probably would have been a good idea to get that in about an hour ago.
I'm hungry.
Hobbit Rains.
The beast and his army shall rise from the pit to make war against God. Apologies. I said I hope you enjoy your meal.
And Kirby Bartlett slang.
Well, that's Ood.
Pardon? Tood?
Well, that's Ood.
Oh. Anyway, I've got a bad leg,
And
so I'm
both,
going
and both of the
stretch my leg out because
took my
I
quote.
forgot to take some painkillers.
Huh?
What?
The previous two quotes were both on my list above the one I used.
Yeah, that's why I put you on last, so I thought it'd be quite fun. Which one? Not the one I had, I presume. Sorry.
No.
I'm so sorry.
That one doesn't count.
I thought at least one of you was going to use the "He is awake and you will worship him," so I avoided that one.
Magic is currently trying to annoy me as much as possible by finding the worst possible spot to sit down in the room and hoping to entangle himself in some very important cables all at the same time. That's just what he does now.
Because he doesn't let out a fart.
He probably does. He doesn't have to because he smells enough as it is. Now he's just going everywhere. So by the end of the, I'll be completely dog asphyxiated. Right. This week we're going to be looking at the impossible planet Satan Pit as quickly as we can. If you can hear that crunchy noise, that's him deciding to make a bed out of some carrier bags.
I can't hear a thing.
Well, it's probably just as well. But I suspect that anybody watching on the live Facebook feed can, because it's a more sensitive microphone. And anyway, so the Doctor and Rose arrive in a spaceship.
Closet.
What?
It's not a
They arrive in a closet.
All right, it's a base on a planet. A base on a planet. And then have a very annoying scene, which goes a little bit like this.
Indigestion, I shouldn't want to learn.
If you think that's going to be trouble, we could always get back inside and go somewhere else.
Irritating. But
I quite like that.
Fortunately for me, it was the only irritating scene of the whole thing. Anyway, so they start wandering around. It did give me a little bit
Hold
of
on.
the
When they're in the TARDIS,
what?
do they say like that scene with nothing could possibly go wrong, and then the Doctor says this is going to be the best Christmas wolf it's ever had?
Yes, that's quite good.
I like that.
Yeah, so they have a poke around, which gave me Planet of Evil vibes. It also gave me the Nightmare on Eden vibes as well. And they come across some texts, some of which the TARDIS isn't translating, so the Doctor deciphers that the text is actually older than the TARDIS itself. Very cool hieroglyphs. And then they bump into some Ood, who look like they haven't quite finished their dinners because they've got spaghetti all around their mouths.
as I look up on my shelf next to me where my Ood mask is, wishing I could go back to a convention and be an Ood.
Well, apparently a convention was on today somewhere, and I was.
And Sean's got lovely soft skin.
Thank you. Lillian Robbins says, about time. Well, sorry, Lillian. I've got a life that I have to lead outside podcasting. Ashley Hughes says, hello. Probably is not probably watching by now, so I'll say hello and hope that he picks it up somewhere. Terry Marr says, evening, everybody. Alan T. Butcher says,
evening.
Can anyone remember what happened to... sorry, I misread that. Can anyone remember what episode number this is? Of Doctor Who? 501, I think.
501.
Yeah, says Terry Miles. Lillian Robin, you don't have to do this tonight, I understand. Just make this absolutely clear to camera. I love Lillian. Her legs are quite nice too. Anyway, back to Doctor Who. Where were we?
Without further ado.
Oh yeah, Terry Miles said, I missed the 500th, must have dozed off. That's Andy Nunny. Andy Nunny said that, sorry. And then Brandon Moore said, sorry I'm late. You're late, you're early, mate. To do some protein one with just a dash of 3. Right, so anyway. As the Doctor, just after the Doctor bumps into the crew rock up into the room, and a couple of well-known British actors in this crew, so it's quite...
Are they?
Quite a cast list. I can't tell you who they are. I got in ahead of you there, Kirby, but they're well-known faces on British TV.
Kirby knows. Kirby knows.
Films. Debbie's not
no,
here.
I don't.
Debbie's not here.
Yes, you do.
Well, I see David Tennant. I see Billy Piper. Paul Casey's inside the Ood.
Yeah.
I don't know who's Danny Webb.
Don't
I haven't
worry
got
about
the cast list there.
It plays tough nuts in lots of British stuff. Anyway, then the camera starts wobbling, so they have to take a bit of time out to straighten the rigs and everything. So it's wobbling around all over the place. So this makes all the cast, panic a little bit. Sorry, not the cast. Sorry, the crew, and the Doctor and Rose are still taking it not particularly serious at this stage. Yes.
Yes. During the commentary, David Tennant said they quite enjoyed doing Star Trek acting.
Doing what acting?
Star Trek acting, throwing themselves around the set.
I got you. Yeah. Anyway, where do we get up to? Anyway, so there's a bit of a rumble on the, and of course we do hear a little backstory that the captain, who is now captain because the actual captain died and he's taken over, and I quite like that because I thought he was very good. He was didn't have much confidence in himself, but he was obviously more than capable of doing the job. I thought he was a fab character in this story. And most of the crew weren't annoying at all. I especially love the security guy who, as I say, he's a chap who plays all the roles in lots of British stuff now. But I thought he was a great character. I thought he had a nobility to him. I thought he was fantastic. Anyway, so we're just having lots of...
He could have been a real
The problem with this crew is they seem to be so not well suited to their jobs.
Yeah.
What are they doing with trainee who's in charge of their life support?
Yes.
What are they doing with this young woman who doesn't seem very good?
I know, it looks like they applied for their jobs via some sort of website that was just getting random people in.
And then you've got a guy stepping in for captain who has absolutely no confidence in himself.
No, exactly, he doesn't, but he actually does a very good job.
Where did they get these people? They seem so wrong for
central casting.
Spotlight.
Anyway,
I wouldn't want to go out 500 years to another planet with this group.
No, but it's still made for an entertaining story. One of the crew we've got to mention is Toby, who's quite a bit of a misery gut, scaredy cat type.
Toby Hadoke?
What?
Toby Hadoke?
No, Toby Zed. Anyway, so something's kicking off.
I'm looking at pictures of the actor who plays Toby, Will Thorpe.
Yeah.
He's pretty much shaved his head bald now.
Yes, he has. Anyway, the Doctor, they open up the roof of this sort of unit they're in and look up to see the black hole, which...
Doesn't it remind you of the TARDIS in the movies, Doctor Who movie?
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose it does, actually. And of course, this then interests the Doctor because it's no way that this planet could actually orbit a black hole. It'd just be sucked in, apparently.
Well, can I tell you what it also reminds me of?
What?
You know the episode 42?
Yes, it does. It's very 42-ish, yes.
I'm certain a bunch of those doors reappeared in 42.
Yes, I'd say that too.
Most likely.
That has a very 42 element to it. Anyway, so they're saying that the planet couldn't possibly orbit a black hole, but I think at an appropriate height it could do, because yes, you could fall into it, but surely not everything falls into a black hole, does it? I don't know. If you're far enough away, you're not going to.
Well, since it's in somewhere, it's stated that the Time Lords created black holes.
Yeah.
The Doctor knows everything about black holes.
Yeah, because apparently a black hole actually within the TARDIS creates a singularity and all that stuff. Right then, so the Doctor's now interested because they've got this impossible planet thing that's going around the black hole. But they have been drilling, haven't they? I forgot to mention this. There has been some drilling going on, and I didn't mean in the euphemistic way. They are actually doing some drilling.
I got an Inferno vibe out of it. I loved it.
Yes, it was a little bit of Inferno. Anyway, yes, I suppose it was, but because Toby's back in his little room and he's getting a bit spooked out because his voice is behind him, and there's a point in which I haven't got to that bit yet. But when
you forgot about the pottery, he's studying the pottery.
Yes, he's an archaeologist, and a rather grumpy one at that. That's right, because then they explain to the Doctor about the science of this whole setup. Yes.
Sutek is sneaking up behind him.
Yeah. Yes. While Rose flirts with a few of the crew, and then we meet what's the name of the woman, the cute
Hold
little.
on.
What?
You've forgotten when Toby's examining the pottery.
Yes.
The music sounds very much like The Omen.
I didn't get that.
So
it's just why you mentioned it. I would never pick up on
that. It started out as Bolero.
Yeah, I know they mentioned Bolero. Yes,
what I'm saying
but
is
I keep thinking Torval and Dean when I think of the Bolero.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what's the name of that? The girl, is it Suki or something like that?
Scooty.
That's it. Yeah.
Or something.
So obviously,
if it were Suki, everyone would be going Suki.
Oh God, hang on. Anyway, so Scooty, and I'll never forget that.
My wife is rewatching True Blood right now on HBO Max, so I get to hear Suki all the time.
If I watched a rewatched True Blood, I would have to watch it to start off with to actually say
I've never seen it either.
Rewatched it. Anyway, so Rose being the Scooty is the same age of her, sort of makes sort of friends with her.
It's very nice.
While the Doctor gets involved in some doctorish things, or especially 10th Doctory thing, when he gets really impressed by the fact that the humans have sort of doing what they're doing, and he gives them all. He wants to give them a hug.
Stop harping on about that.
He wants to give them a hug because they're sort of.
The captain a hug.
Yeah. Can I give you a hug?
As inept and untrained as they are, he's.
Yeah, they're still able to do certain things. Yeah. So. Then, is that the point in which they notice that the TARDIS has gone after the little earthquake rumble, because a great big gaping hole has appeared, and the TARDIS and the little room the TARDIS was in has fallen down this gaping hole, and they're rather stranded. They do have a little conversation about what they're going to do, because they're stuck there. And
you can't use company property to go and get it. We have a mission.
Anyway, the Ood at this stage because that's right. There's a point in which, of course, the Ood are a slave race, but they just accept it. They accept that the Ood are a slave race, and not trying to say, well, we don't agree with slavery, so I'm sorry, if you want to be enslaved, go off elsewhere. But no, they just accept that the Ood are going to be slaves because that's what they want to do. Well, I wouldn't accept that.
I have a question about the Ood as a slave race.
Yes?
What good is a slave race where they can only use one hand? Because the other is always communicating.
Yeah, you would have thought they would create a little pouch to hold their little orbs in, wouldn't you?
They're always kind of dribbling something. Would you want that in food?
They can clip their translation ball onto their tunics.
Oh, there you go, Mary. That answers that question.
But the only way they can communicate is to hold it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can communicate with each other using
telepathically
psychic abilities.
That is very true. I'm going to rub my eyes. Right, anyway, so where do we get up to? Oh, yeah, so Toby gets a bit spooked out with voices in his room, and he's told not to turn around. Of course, what does he do? If you turn round, you're dead. What does he do? Turns around.
He's dead.
He's not dead straight away.
Not dead yet.
Not dead yet.
But rather coolly, he does turn around, and his hands start... runes and stuff keep appearing on his hand. Then that great shot of him looking in the mirror and his eyes being red, and you saw these runes. And then he changes to this...
Master?
No, not into a master. It's a devil, Satan pit thing, I think as well. Yeah, go on.
I was disappointed because, nowadays all we have are the confidential cut downs. I recall in the actual confidential, they had a longer sequence where they showed him being painted with those things.
I'll have to watch
Thank you for that, Kirby. I'll never get that 5 minutes.
I think so. I mean, it's been however many
I
years.
seem to think that too, Kirby.
Great.
Gee, it's taking a long
I hate the fact that they did not release the entire confidentials.
Okay.
Oh,
well, never
in the hole
mind.
for you, didn't it?
This is not called the 20 megabyte Doctor Who Confidential podcast.
I've got them somewhere.
Where do we get up to? Oh, yeah, so then there's a little tea break, and Doctor and Rose, again, but they just have that conversation about what they're going to do, and Rose sort of hints that they could sort of maybe live together, perhaps, and Doctor sort of...
Hold on.
The mortgage and everything.
Hold on, Robert, hold on.
Did you notice how disgusting that food was as well?
No.
The black beans, look like black beans with some black sauce.
That does sound disgusting.
You got ood dribble in it too.
Ood dribble might be a delicacy, Mary. You never know.
Or something. I don't know what that was.
Anyway, just moving forward a little bit, because that's right. The ood are starting to be taken over because now the I suppose you have to call it the devil, a Satan thingy, the beast. Once it takes over Toby.
How do you know it's not Sutak?
Oh, be quiet. Once it takes over...
Sounds like Sutak.
Shut up. Once it takes over Toby, then the Oods suddenly become more taken over by this beast, and he totally controls them because they're telepathic, etc., etc. And they become quite menacing now because they're all like talking in unison.
They'll get the robot red eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Master?
Yes.
The scene where we're looking down from the balcony at all the seated ood.
Seated ood?
Seated?
Yes.
Yeah, they did their little technique where they only had like 8 ood, and then
they
multiply them. Yeah.
Seated ood and 8 ood.
Them.
Like they do with the Sontarans and the...
like they did way back
men.
in Deadly Assassin with all of the Time Lords.
Brilliant. Anyway, back to Doctor Who. Anyway, so Scooty, it's now time for her to die because
why did she have to die?
She sees out the window that the taken over Toby. What they call it? It's not taken over. What's the word for it? Possessed Toby, who then makes the glass within the compartment she's in break, therefore killing poor old...
How did he breathe, though?
Because he's not a person, is he?
No, but he's still a human.
I know, but I don't think the beast was requiring...
most of the rest of the story.
The body.
Yeah, but he wasn't requiring the beast when he was possessing him. He didn't need to breathe. It's a science fiction fantasy TV show, for God's sake. Meanwhile, the brave captain sort of finds his way to a little control room, and of course they wonder where's Scooty gone. Of course, that great scene. They look up, there she is, and there she is floating dead in space.
I don't think that the swimming pool worked that good for what they got out.
Be quiet. And I love the way that when one of the...
I was about to bring up that the swimming pool at Pinewood.
I love the way when one of the crew dies, there's a lovely epitaph that either the captain says over the log or the other chap. It's mainly the captain that says it.
Captain's log.
Well, it must be the ship's log. They're hang on a second. They've been flying here. If it hovers within the right range, it's going to get clapped. So a tiny little
Flags?
annoying little midgy fly. Anyway, the Doctor gets then dressed in his iconic orange spacesuit, which appears
Which
from
we'll
now
see
on
later
odds
on.
and ends in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And he gets
Well,
on.
he wears this thing up through the 12th Doctor.
Wow.
Thank you. Anyway, so he
What
goes.
out of it?
Him and what was the name of the woman? I can't remember the woman's name. She goes down.
Ida.
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 Yeah, they plan to go down 10 miles on this cable.
There's not 10 miles of cable on that drum.
There's not?
No.
No? All right, they plan to go down and investigate.
Wasn't it like 3,000 metres or something?
They plan to go down this blimmin' thing, investigate what archaeology's down there, which is right up the Doctor's street, and Rose gives the Doctor a kiss on his helmet.
And now he can't see out of
It's
it.
too bad that River Song wasn't around. Her archaeology could have been useful.
Hang on, I wonder if... hang on, where's my blimmin'... Yes, it would be. Let's see if Ben's actually responded to my message.
Check to see which shed he's in.
No, he hasn't. Maybe he was expecting one earlier in the day.
Is there a game on?
Oh, there's football on. It's not England. England play tomorrow. Well, Tuesday. Right, so it starts kicking off with the Ood, who then are
Well,
now
that is
on the
tomorrow
warpath.
for me.
What?
Tuesday is tomorrow.
Tuesday is tomorrow because it's Monday for Robert.
It's Sunday now.
He
Anyway.
He said
Robert
tomorrow,
lives in
and-
the future.
While the Beast is busy controlling the Ood, Toby's sort of semi-released, and he's rubbing his hands because
Toby
he's
Hado?
What?
Hidoki?
Toby Hidoki?
Rubbing his hands because he thinks he's got these runes on it. While the Doctor and Ida discover this civilization, or
Ada?
remains of one at least, and obviously both being archaeologists.
I thought those effects are quite good with the
Makes
statues
them all
and
very
that.
excited. And they find this great
Master?
big... Oh, Jesus.
when they're down in there, the cave where the Beast is, that's the same cave as the
Some of the
Time
Angels. Or whatever.
Thank
I
you.
knew you were going to say that,
There's
Kirby.
a great big hole in the ground where there's like a cap, isn't it? It's a cap to a hole, but like a humongous
It's a trapdoor, as the Doctor says.
like what they call those things that cover sewers. I don't know.
manhole
cover.
Yeah, one of them. It looks like one of them.
I
That's
said
massive.
it first.
And there.
No, I'm in the future, so I really said it first.
Where did I get up to? Oh yeah, so Toby then. The Beast gets back into Toby, and he gets a bit menacing.
What does that mean?
And he spreads all his horrible mind stuff out to all the Ood, who then start attacking the crew with their balls.
And if we're doing the quiz, we have to know which level they were at.
Well,
Isn't
What
that true?
quiz?
If we were doing the quiz, we'd have to know what basic level they were at.
wouldn't
we?
Sorry, I went all zippy
But
there
we're
on my
not
hand.
doing the quiz.
Just really bungle. Right, so then the whole place starts vibrating again, and the great big hole opens, and the planet, I think, starts heading into the black hole, and for the time being. And the camera looks up at the Doctor and Ida, looking down the hole, and isn't there the sound of the Beast sort of going or something like that? I can't remember. No one's disagreeing with me, so that's what must have happened. Let me have a read.
Probably.
I need to start the second episode on the... Okay.
On the
Are you
OK.
watching as it's going, Kirby?
Yes, of course I
Anywho.
watched.
Yeah, so the Ood continue killing crew and getting shot by the security bloke whose name I forget. And
I don't like the way he fires his gun, though. It looks pretty silly.
Silly?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The way he's firing his gun.
Apparently there
Just
are more
shaking it.
people. There are more people. You see two people who have not been identified in
Yeah.
one scene, almost security guards.
Oh, the
Well,
one
red shirts, you
like
mean.
that. There's that girl that
and,
gets
and they're
zapped
even
at
listed
first
in
episode.
the credits.
What, as red shirts?
Well, and they refer to people who got lost when that part of the station got destroyed too.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do a special announcement, commemorating anybody else other than speaking parts.
Because she's the main role. That's right.
The main red shirt. Anyway, the Rose keeps on talking to the Doctor down the radio and going gooey-eyed and pathetic. While they're all trying to get on with their business. Called the Doctor hasn't the cable snapped with the last rumble, so they're sort of stuck down there now, aren't they?
Yes.
So they're thinking, well, I wonder what's down that hole. Toby's sort of come back to normal, and that Rose sort of interrogates him about, what's going on with the beast and stuff. He can't remember it, but she gives him a hug. Bless her. And
with the amount of time since they end up taking the broken cable, the 10 miles of cable, which is now dropped down to them, and then they roll it back up, and then they lower the Doctor into the hole. But they only have a certain amount of time until they fall into the black hole. They don't have enough time.
But there's also a certain amount of time before their air runs out.
Well, can I throw the same thing at you? You throw out all the time.
Science fiction, fantasy.
Yeah, of course.
Mary.
I can still.
Mary.
I can still.
Does Mary get a ding?
Mary.
Yeah.
Ding. Told you.
Right, so the Ood are now basically got them. It's like a basin under siege because the Ood are on the warpath.
Gee, a base under siege on Doctor Who? Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
they must have done it once or twice before.
The captain is trying to control stuff from his little hiding place and trying to guide. Then they've got to try and get away. I can't remember where they've got to go, but they're trying to get away from the Ood through different passageways and stuff. Meanwhile, the Doctor and
it's a very alien feel to going through those.
Yes, very, very, very so.
Through the what?
That's what I thought too.
Through the ventilation ducts.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but did you notice? I mean, in terms of the releasing air and putting it in somewhere else, did you notice that like the top of all of them was open mesh? So I'd like to know, how were they able to contain air?
Mary, it's a science fiction fantasy TV show done in a studio.
Program.
It might have been airtight mesh. You never know. Anyway.
It might have had a force field over it.
Yes. So Rose is flirting with as many of the crew as possible, considering the Doctor's now being lowered down by what remaining rope they have.
Master?
What do you mean, What does that mean?
Master?
Oh.
Master? Did you know this story was the last one that Billy Piper filmed for this series?
I didn't know that, no, Kirby.
Was it?
Well, did you have to break the middle to tell us that?
Well, she's flirting with everyone and everything, as if it's her last time she's going to see any of them.
Okay.
Well, what about the scene at Canary Wharf when she?
They filmed that already. They'd been filmed weeks before.
Okay.
And there's a scene also where she's walking through a conduit and somebody makes a remark. I think it was Toby makes a remark about her backside, which was quite amusing. And as they're going through these corridors, the security bloke doesn't quite move fast enough. And a bit like, remember the scene in Dalek where I think it's Rose doesn't move quite fast enough and gets trapped in with the Dalek. Unlike that scene, the security bloke dies in a very noble and brave way. Very, very good scene that. Especially with he asks the captain to remove the air rather than get done in by the Ood. And obviously the captain has to make that decision and do it. And it was a great, great scene that. And on they go. There's a great scene also when Toby sort of shows that he's still possessed by the beast. He just has a little bit of red eye and carries on with his little secret plot. While the
Master?
Ood, yes?
What you could just say is they're all great scenes.
Not yet. I'm not going to say that yet because I'm still... So yeah, the Ood have virtually taken over the whole thing, and while the Doctor runs out of rope. Oh no, there's a scene in which I think the crew they take the upper hand slightly because there's lots of hugging going on between Rose and a few of the crew that made
Again?
it to the... What?
Again?
Lots of hugging.
Lots of
Always
hugging,
hugging.
Anyway, the Doctor runs out of rope, and like Planet of Evil, he doesn't. It's not like it. He cuts the rope off, and he falls into this sort of abyss, which reminded me again of Planet of Evil when the Doctor falls into the abyss in the pit there. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you're agreeing with me. Sorry,
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
Off he goes, falls and falls. And someone else dies, and I'm just going to move forward a bit.
Yeah, I like the way you say that casually.
You can tell someone's died because the captain's sort of there speaking into his little microphone, announcing for the benefit of whoever's
they do
listening.
the thing where they flash quickly to him, and there's the beast appears on his hologram thing.
Yes, I forgot to mention the reason where they're trying to head for is this like a rocket. So we're heading for the rocket to try and get off the planet before.
Doesn't that
late.
remind you of Ark in Space?
What? Oh yeah, I suppose there's a hint of Ark in
And
Space.
also the one where the waters of Mars.
Yes, indeed.
With the rocket.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that
And-
hadn't
See,
aired
hang on.
yet.
Oh, you said Ark in Space, didn't you? That's all right.
That remind us of one we haven't seen yet.
Yes. Nice one,
I've
Mary.
seen it. I've seen all of them except for one story.
Anyway, Toby
when you saw
manages
this
to get
side
a
of
seat
the
on the
business.
rocket right next to Rose. That's convenient, isn't it? And off they chunder. Of course, she doesn't want to go. She wants to stay with the Doctor. I forgot to mention this.
Chunder?
They had to knock her out to get onto the rocket, and she sort of wakes up and threatens to kill people with a gun that had nothing in it. And the Doctor, meanwhile,
See the
is
setup
okay.
they did for the inside of the rocket ship?
Pardon?
They actually built it like on a gimbal and tilted them.
Yes.
Yeah, good idea.
I thought that was quite...
Anyway, so the Doctor sort of...
They do show that in the confidential cut down.
Like I said, this is not the 20 megabyte Doctor Who Confidential podcast, Kirby.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't. Anyway, so the Doctor, he's fine. It's no sort of falling down and then regenerating because he's landed from a very long height. A bit like that scene in the Christmas special when he falls to Earth from a great height and he's perfectly all right,
God.
but yet falling from a very
Do
short...
we really have to do that story again?
comparatively small height from a radio telescope causes him to regenerate, but there you go.
Well, I like... Did you see, though, he actually, before he falls, he does make mention about how high he could survive kind of thing. So I think that's sort of like he's thinking back to...
Yes, but this was higher, wasn't it?
But
I think they did cushion his fall a little bit. Anyway, he arrives at this...
Wait a minute, here's a thought.
Yes?
The Doctor himself is really not in any danger because should it come down to it, he could regenerate. Whereas he's abandoning Rose, so I don't know how he would live with that.
Well, I think he abandoned
but
Rose.
if he gets... Here's the question. If the Doctor gets sucked into a black hole, does he regenerate?
Anyway, so
he have to
he's
escape
reached
from it.
this little place where there's these two vases, and then he meets it's the creature's body, the beast's body, but the beast doesn't seem to be present because he's out and about in Toby and the Ood at the moment. And so the Doctor realises that if he smashes these two vases, that will kill, for some reason, the body of the beast.
That seems kind of strange.
Yeah, but he does that.
It's a science fiction fantasy TV program.
He does that, and then all sorts of stuff goes off, and Toby starts thrusting around in his seat, and
Woo!
Rose smashes the window. The air shoots out, sucking out Toby.
Yeah, that was really smart, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he's still alive. And he heads to the black hole for his doom. While
He must have gotten
the
swimming pool
emergency
too.
shield is switched up, and they're fine. And
lucky there was an
Doctor
emergency shield.
thinks he's on his way to his death, but conveniently enough, while Ida collapses through lack of oxygen, the TARDIS is there, where he needs it, and he's fine. And also using the TARDIS as a little towing machine, he tows the rocket to safety and gets a big.
I wonder what that's
he's gonna tow
foreshadowing.
the Earth.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In a later story, he's going to tow the Earth with the TARDIS, so
It's fine.
it's easy.
And that's it.
setting it
That's
up,
the
wasn't
end
it?
of
Our rocket is small potatoes compared to the Earth.
Yeah, that's the end of the Impossible Planet Satan bit. Now I'm going to say about this, I it's a two-parter. I'm not a big fan of the two-parters, but this actually was really, really good story. It was very gripping. I say the actors nowadays are quite well known, so it was interesting seeing them in Doctor Who performing to a high sort of standard of dramaticness. Yes, so the Doctor and Rose bits I found a bit irritating to start off with, but it wasn't that bad. It didn't ruin the story for me. There are elements, like Mary says, about things that may not make sense, but they don't make at least enough sense for me to not be covered by the for science fiction fantasy TV show. Unlike some elements of Moffat stories and even more elements of Chibnall stories. This is comfortably falling into the... And also, the other thing it falls into is a piece of drama that works really, really well for television. So I think this... I don't remember actually liking it before.
What?
I don't know, because I can't... It's a long time since I watched it, but I really enjoyed this. I didn't have any trouble. I watched episode 1 quite early in the week.
How do I know how many times Adam has watched it?
I don't care.
How many times he's liked it, or if he liked it.
I can't remember. Anyway, I watched the first part earlier on in the week, and I thought, well, I'm not going to watch. I'll watch the second one on Sunday. It's probably just as well I didn't watch it today, but I did actually watch it the next day and really enjoyed it. So, yeah, I think
9 years ago you loved it. I do remember listening.
It's one of the best. Thank you, Kirby. It was one of the best ones of this series. It's a really, really good Doctor Who story. Anyway, Robert, what did you think of it?
These are the words of the beast, and he has woken. No, I really, really enjoyed it. And I was not going to watch it all at once. I was going to do sort of a similar thing and watch one on Saturday and watch the other on Sunday. I did watch the one episode, and then it was dinner time and watching the news. But as soon as that was finished... You have some
protein 1 and some protein 3 and some sauce?
Thankfully not. I gave that a miss. And no Oods spit either. But I immediately put it on afterwards. I mean, I wanted to watch it all at once because I thought, this is such a gripping story. And I love that it's taken seriously. And the Doctor, he doesn't have as much campness about him, which I liked. I mean, I even like that joke about when they're saying, nothing could possibly go wrong, and this is going to be the best Christmas Wolford's ever had. I mean, I love those sort of jokes. Yeah. I thought that was quite funny. And then it got into the serious things, and it stayed serious. It didn't sort of feel the need to do stupid, jokey kind of stuff or whatever. And and it's funny. I had I really misremembered this story, in that I thought that the Beast actually spoke. And I was sitting there waiting for the Beast to speak, when it's down in the pit, and there's the Beast growling at Tennant, and he didn't speak, and I thought, I misremembered this.
Yeah.
But
because he split his mind.
Yeah, I know that. I just thought he was going to speak for some reason. I just had that in my
that's how I remember it too. Yeah.
But, I mean, I thought the Beast was an absolutely fantastic creation. I think that was probably one of the best CGI in that story. A lot of the other CGI looks a bit dated now. But I thought it was quite fantastic, really. But, I mean, there was silly things like Rose shooting the window so that Toby could go flying out.
Mm-hmm.
And does she know that there's going to be a shield that will, save the day to come down? No, she doesn't.
I have a hypothesis.
Yeah.
All right. Give me that.
She doesn't know, but she is fairly certain that it would at least destroy the Beast, even if it destroys them, and that's good for the universe.
Yeah, and save the Doctor.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, because she did make that comment afterwards about it's what the Doctor would have done.
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was quite well done, and I loved the seriousness of it. And as I said, it was one of these two-parters where it really stood up to watching both, and it's just great stuff. And I love that they got Gabriel Wolf in to do the voice of the Beast.
Yes.
And yes, he could be Sutekh because do you remember when in Pyramids of Mars when they're in that chamber and he's talking about being, he could be Satan.
Yes.
It goes by many names. So, yeah, it probably is the same.
He is Sutekh.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Robert. Brilliant. Okay, Kirby, what did you think? Can I say that line again? Okay, Kirby, what did you think? Oh, actually, no, wait, Kirby, wait. Because Lillian Robbins says, bring back the quiz. Robert Vance Jr. says, hi, Al. And then he says, I like the moving letters. Yeah, I get a bit moved by letters sometimes. Carry on, Kirby. Oh, there's more. No, hang on.
I absolutely...
Oh, carry on, because there's more coming up. Sorry, Kirby. Carry on. There is more, but I'm just going to prepare myself while you talk about what you thought of the story.
Ben does it better.
What?
Ben does the interruptions better.
I didn't actually mean to interrupt you.
Yes, you did. This is an absolutely fantastic example of Doctor Who.
Is it?
Absolutely love it. It's got very few places for a two-parter where it's slow.
Yeah.
It just it's gripping. It's got the Ood are a fantastic creation. The Beast is incredibly scary. So scary that when my girls first watched this, they would not watch it again for years.
Yeah.
It is really one of the best CGI creatures I've ever seen. Not much more I can say over what other people have said. I mean, I can come up with odd things like I can come up with weird bits of trivia, like this was broadcast on 6/10/2006, which was a few days after 6/6/06. Also, I do remember, though, just like most of Series 2, I don't know why this was, the first time I saw most episodes in Series 2, except for Love and Monsters for some reason, I did not like it. I did not like Impossible Planet. I did not like Satan Pit the first time I saw them. And it took a rewatch. I didn't like the Idiot's Lantern the first time I saw it. I didn't like Girl in the Fireplace. I hated Girl in the Fireplace the first time I saw it.
I can understand.
And coming back around and watching it again, I discovered how great they were.
Yes.
There were several stories in Series 2 I did like first time around, School Reunion, and oddly enough, Love and Monsters, which we've discussed before.
It's grown on me, to tell you the truth.
Huh?
It's grown on me.
It's grown on you. Well, surely you get it wiped off.
Like a wart.
Is that it, Kirby?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Tim Drury. After Robert Vance Jr. said great music, says, I remember not liking this one, too many horror movie tropes. Then he says, Adam is wearing his 501 jeans this week, because it's episode 501. But no, I'm wearing my Marks and Spencer uniform this week, because I went straight from work to do the other job to come here to get told off for being late. Then Robert Vance Jr. says, wasn't the World Cup on at this time? I think it might have been. I got a funny feeling this is the story that was on. If it was 2006, this is the story that was on when Isabella was born. Because I remember watching, it was either this one or 42, in hospital while Deb was in bed, and Isabella was in the cot, and me and Alicia and Deb watched it in Deb's hotel room. Hotel room? Hospital room. Hotel room? Who gets...
They have babies.
I remember that shit.
Yeah, so...
upscale way of doing
magic.
things there.
Where do we get up to? And then Robert Vance Jr. says, The beast is there, but the mind is not. It's a bit like...
Kirby.
No, it's not. And Andy Lunny says, bring back Alicia. He's being facetious there. Lillian Robbins says, I was just wondering what was going on. I wasn't telling you off. I reiterate my comment of earlier. We love Lillian. Well, I do at least. I can't vouch for the others. And she's got particularly nice legs, and the dog is really annoying me at the moment. While he's trying to make himself comfortable.
That's
some
nice.
carrier bag. Anyway, yeah, thanks, Lillian. We love you. We do love Lillian. No, I don't care. As the commander of the show, if everybody else says otherwise, they have to toe the line. We all love Lillian, don't we?
Yeah.
Yay!
There we go. She said love you too. All right then. I should find some Romeo and Juliet music to play over that bit, but that's not going to do. Brandon Moore says, I didn't see either of these on first broadcast, as my family wanted to watch the football or some such. That means it's probably why it was. If 2006 was a football year, I believe. So therefore it was when Isabella was born. This is Isabella's birth story. And the dog is still making noises in the background.
Oh, goodness.
Thanks, Magic, for ruining my show. Right, where do we get up to?
Doesn't care.
Anyway, and then Lily Romer said, you gave me my hashtag. I did. I still haven't been paid for that one, have I, Lillian? Let's try that again. We haven't played that piece of music for such a long time, but I'm so pleased to be able to say the words. What did you think of it, Mary?
Well, I think for me, the whole thing was somewhat spoiled by watching one part immediately following the other. If I had watched just the first part, I would have loved this. I mean, yes, there were things that kind of niggled at me in terms of this doesn't make sense or why do they do that, which I have already brought up. But the whole thing was just so engaging. The first one is so fast-paced, and there's lots of exciting events that happen. They lose the TARDIS. There's the earthquakes and all the scary stuff, the possession of Toby. I was totally with it, and I thought, oh, this is one of the best stories I've ever seen on the Tennant era. And then I watched the second part, and for me, everything kind of crashed down because the second part is so full of, these personal backstories. Like, who cares that Ida is running away from Daddy? And the long thing of going through the tunnels, the air, turn the air on, turn the air off. I mean, that went on forever. That's like, running through corridors just to waste a lot of time. And then we have Tennant doing his long monologue as he's down in the tunnel. And I'm just thinking, oh my God, this thing is like really dragging, and it's dragging with things that I really don't care about. It's not helping the story for me. And it brought to mind two really big honkers that I can't get past. One is in the first episode. See, I might not have remembered this, but in the first episode, Doc says it's about 500 years from there to the Earth. And then in the second episode, what do? They all pile into that rocket, and where are they headed?
Earth?
They're headed to Earth. And I'm thinking, okay, there's no way they're going to make it. They're going to die no matter what. So Rose...
Maybe there's a wormhole.
Yeah,
Rose
they
shooting
probably
that,
have faster light travel or something.
Yeah.
I don't think so. But Rose shooting that gun was like, okay, just bring it all to an end right now because they're never going to make it back to Earth alive anyway. The second big honker that me is, why was that ancient race so motivated to build such a complicated situation? A planet that's going to revolve forever around a black hole with the beast trapped in it and supposedly down in this pit, when he actually is able to get out. He possesses Toby, so he's gonna live and move on. But that also allows for a gravity. What was that called? A gravity.
Was it the gravitron?
Gravity globe.
Gravity
It's the same
globe.
thing that
They
the
use
11th
that.
Doctor had.
Pardon?
Well, which is how they get to the planet. So why would they have that so that other visitors could possibly come to the planet and release the very beast that they built this complicated structure to contain. All it took...
Yeah, but wasn't he buried underneath? He wasn't like easy access.
The physical body, but his mind, everything went to Toby. So as long as Toby gets back to Earth or wherever he's going to...
But he had years and years to do that. I don't think they thought he could worm his way outside.
Can I come up with a possible thing what they were thinking here?
It's a science fiction fantasy
No. Well, you saw Toby obviously clearly alive as he fell towards the black hole or wherever he was falling. Maybe they were thinking if people like this story enough, they could do a sequel.
Oh, and have him show up somewhere else? Well, possibly. But all it took, it took this ancient race to build this very complicated situation to contain the beast. And all it took was Rose shooting the bolt gun to suck him out, and he's gone. He's being sucked into the black hole. And it's like, why would they do that when it would be simple to just send the beast into the black hole, to its own destruction? So all of that, and then the biggest honker of all is the TARDIS showing up at the end. It's like, whoa, where did it come from? Who brought it there?
It fell down.
Deus Ex Machina, Deus Ex TARDIS.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Sorry, listeners, I just bashed the microphone with my drink. Sorry, listeners, sorry. Carry on.
I think they just didn't know how to end the story, so they just miraculously brought that about. And why is he pulling the spaceship? Why doesn't he get them all on the TARDIS and they could go back to Earth in a matter of seconds rather than 500 years?
Because they had a budget of special effects for this show and they just had 5 pence left to do a special TARDIS towing scene.
And by the way, the 500 years, they had to get there as well, and maybe it took 500 years.
Yeah, well, if that was the case,
and I would walk 500
Herbert,
years.
if that was the case, if that took them 500 years to get home, they could listen to 1 episode of this show per year to keep them going.
So anyway, so the second part of the story for me ruined the first part. So this is no longer a favorite episode.
But if you only watched the first one, you're all right. Thank you, Mary. What?
May I clarify something?
What?
When you started to say gravity, you were referring to the gravity funnel.
Yeah.
I happened to notice that this was the first time that the gravity globe showed up, where Ida throws the ball that illuminates the cavern.
That's right. Yes.
And then we later see that in
Time of Angels.
Time of Angels.
Yes, but we know this anyway.
The gravity funnel could have brought anybody there, and
True.
The beast could have been released anytime. So I don't understand.
Right. It's a science fiction fantasy.
Anyway, where do we get up to? Andy Nunny sent a little love heart facey emoji to Lillian. Robert Vince Jr. says the Doctor fell on an air bubble, and then in Scream the Ninth Doctor was in a black hole in Scream. What's
Scream?
Scream? Not Scream of the Shalka.
Is that Scream of the Shalka?
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
No? Was it Scream of the Shalka?
Yeah, I think so. I keep forgetting that was also the Ninth Doctor.
The alternative Ninth Doctor, as in Richardy.
Richardy.
Right then, before we move on to feedback, Mary, are you able to sort of briefly give us a sort of idea of what you've been feeling about the last few stories that you've watched?
Do you want to know which ones you've missed?
Well, could I not? Could I save it for next week when we're only reviewing one, terrible episode? Because I've not had a chance to see the Idiot's Lantern yet.
You haven't? Oh, that's okay. That's a good excuse.
You're not missing anything.
I'll tell you what, that's such a good excuse. You might have to advise Reese that that's not in any of his books.
My life's a little bit, topsy-turvy these last few weeks. So give me a week, and I will have a nice thing prepared. Okay?
More than acceptable. I don't care what Kirby says. Mary? Don't take any notice of him. That's more than acceptable. Okay, and Kirby, you may impart with your
just a minute. I just want to let Mary know that she's missed Rise of the Cybermen, Age of Steel, and Idiot's Lantern.
Yeah, yeah. And I have watched the two Cybermen stories, but I haven't watched Idiot's Lantern
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
Marvelous.
So let me refresh this page.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Just in case there's something
that
new.
really works well on an audio presentation, but yeah, that's fine.
Well, he want me to read things.
Yeah.
So
Great
Robert
thing.
Lynch Jr. says, my review of the Impossible Planet, the Satan Pit. The Doctor and Rose land on a sanctuary base,
Yeah.
and all hell breaks loose.
True.
The Doctor loses the TARDIS. The Ood are taken over by the Beast. People are killed. This story has the feel of Aliens and Screamers by Philip K. Dick. I like the black hole and the planet Crop Tour being pulled in. The Ood eyes turn
What is
red
that
when
noise?
possessed. Huh?
There's a diddle-im noise.
Yeah, who was that?
Something must have come through on one of my phones.
Okay.
One of?
Marvelous. I've put mine on silent, but marvelous.
You got those
Yeah, I've got the on-call phone.
Okay, that means you're on call then.
Yeah, but it's Sundays are always pretty good.
Okay, carry on then.
So the Ood eyes turn red when possessed by the Beast. The Ood reminded me of the Sensorites from the 1960s. That's because they're from the same area, as we find out later.
Yeah.
Great to have Gabriel Wolf back as the voice of the Beast. I was disappointed. I read that he's passed on. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
sadly.
Unfortunately, there were some missed opportunities in this story, and they should have made it harder for the Doctor to get his TARDIS back.
Yes.
Turning around in the pit and finding it there.
Yes.
Oh, imagine this. The spaceship was used later in the waters of Mars and in the Matt and Peters era. Great horror and nice touches to the classic series like Terminus and using quarries. Not looking forward to the next two coming up. My rating is 4 out of 5. And may I point out, okay, we started going into the second half of the second series. This is the first time they filmed in a quarry.
Can I say something,
Yeah, not
actually? You know, you
bad.
said about filming in a quarry. You know, it's just dawned on me, we've been watching this, that I didn't even consider about where they may have filmed it. I just felt that was where they were.
Yeah.
I was so absorbed in the story that I didn't think, oh, that might be a cave, or that might be a quarry. Oh, no, in my mind, that they were there on that planet. I think that's quite an achievement. After all this time, I haven't even thought, about the lighting, how they established or created this illusion of that they were on another planet. I think that's probably one of the most successful pieces of creating an alien environment that they've ever done on the show, because that is brilliant.
Helps
This
that it's
quarry,
in the dark, though.
this quarry happens to be the same quarry that Utopia was filmed in.
Yeah, I thought so.
And then, of course, Clearwell Caverns, whose Fires of Pompeii, Time of Angels, also Christmas Invasion, of course, Sycorax spaceship was there. Okay.
Scaramouche, do we do?
Yes. Brandon Moore, welcome to hell. No time for audio feedback this week. I didn't do a good job of winding up Kirby. The Impossible Pit and the Satan Planet. Okay, by Matt Jones. This is a damn good story. I love pretty much everything about it. The Ood are odd and are a brilliant-looking monster.
Yeah.
The Beast is an excellently sinister, creeping menace with Gabriel Wolf's mellifluous notes chilling all to the bone. All of the Sanctuary base members are great, though I dislike how a lot of those to die at an early stage are nameless red shirts.
Yeah.
Miana Burring is hot? Is that?
Yeah, that's Scooty.
Okay, that's Scooty.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Love Danny Webb as the grizzled security guy, and Sean Parks is the out-of-his-depth boss. I love the way the story touches on themes of religion, belief, and faith. I can sense a hefty dose of RDT's script
RDT.
especially in the second part. This is not a bad thing, mind you. I loved the design of the base in this episode and the look of the planet and black hole. We also get the debut of the red spacesuit. Trivia time. Which
I thought it was orange.
Does this suit reappear in?
Oh, goodness. 42, is it? Does it appear in that?
Lots of places. I'm not going to do the research right now. I can do it, though. The best thing of this story is Toby Zed, however, with Will Thorpe giving brilliant contrasting performances.
Yes.
It's all great and a story I could rewatch endlessly. Episode 1 gets 9 out of 10, with part 2 getting my first 10 out of 10. New series. Hear that, Mary?
Somebody out there liked it. Yep.
Yeah.
Next week, Paving Slabs and Peter Kay. I'll skip Ian Kirk. I've got 3 more comments.
Neil James.
Yeah,
What
does
said
this
running
Kirby
a little
Bartlett
late.
Sloan guy say?
Huh?
What does this Kirby Bartlett Sloan guy say?
That we were running a little late.
Yeah. That's
To which
relevant.
Lillian said, I was just about to ask.
Of course.
Yeah, Neil James next.
Neil James, The Impossible Planet, The Satan Pit. How great are the Ood? I love their design, and when they go evil, they are fantastic. What great Doctor Who monsters. Love them. This story has a very classic feel to it with a strong mix of characters. Toby's possession scenes are really creepy, and that voice of Satan is terrifying. He means Sutek. Speaking of scary stuff, Scooty's death scene is a superb slice of Saturday night horror. Or is that horror? I love when the voice describes all the characters' fates. Billie Piper's reaction to being told she will die soon is spot on. And since she'd filmed it already, she knows that. Jefferson's sacrifice is emotional, and Tennant's fall into darkness is eerie. This is a top-tier thrill ride, and I always enjoy it. It's at 4 stars out of 5.
There you go.
And Robert Wynch Jr. has a emoji of a face bugging its eyes out and its tongue coming out. Is that
Well, that's the
because
one that
of
Lillian
Lillian?
did. Andy posted for Lillian. Yeah. Right then, thank you very much. We still have some other bits and bobs to impart, and I do have a bit of audio, and it's this bit of audio, whether it'll play or not, no, I have to download it first in the new annoying way, rather than making it easier, just play it straight from the email, like I used to be able to do. Why do they have
What's
to change
changed?
things?
What has changed?
Well, I used to be able to play the audio via the email, but now it says there was a problem playing your audio file.
Well, did you change something? Did you
No,
change
why?
programs? Did you change
No.
browsers?
No. Anyway, right, so what we have is this.
Well, good afternoon, 20 megabytes.
Andy
is 25 to 1.
He's decided to do
Sunday
it from the
afternoon.
other room again, which means I can't do that particular feedback until I've opened up, which is a very dangerous thing for me to do with this computer, opened up Audition and played it and enhanced the sound in it. It's very naughty. Now, the last few ones has been bang on, but we can still carry on with the show, hoping that nothing crashes while I'm opening up too many windows and stuff. It's an old computer, before you say anything, Kirby.
I didn't say nothing.
It's 8 years old. And still doing what it needs to do in regards to the podcast. Right then, so I was looking for downloads, and I've got to do this. Oh, download it again. Thanks. Maybe I should. I'll have to get around to downloading these files before we start the show, but then I was a bit rushed
Yeah,
this
that
week.
might help.
But then sometimes you end up with audio files coming in while you're doing the show.
That's true.
Not very often. Right, so here we go then. We can play this piece of music. Ow, you sod. Right, that means I've got to wait for the whole blooming piece of music to finish. Before I do this.
Hello, 20 Megabyte Podcast. This is Ian Kirk.
Hello, Ian.
Hello,
The
Captain.
Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. Another horror story. More giggling arrogance from the Doctor and Rose.
That's what I said.
That is the deliberate theme of the 10th Doctor. He believes he's the last Time Lord and there is no one to stop him doing whatever he wants.
Ah, Time Lord victorious.
There's a pre-credit sequence when it seems the Ood will attack. Later they do attack. There was an influential computer game called Doom, released in 1993. The sound effects it used were mostly from a collection by a company called Sound Ideas. The sliding doors in these two stories use the same effect as the game. This is the sort of thing Matthew Cressel used to tell us, and I should have mentioned him in the 500th episode last week.
Yes.
Yeah, we didn't mention
The
him.
game was about demons, and some of the monsters had ram's horns. Toby becomes possessed by the captive creature in this story. It's written all over his face. As usual in drama, the effects of a black hole are exaggerated. At a distance, the gravity field is no stronger than any star of the same mass. The thing about them is they are so small that their surface is very close to the centre, so the surface gravity is enormous. There is no reason the planet cannot orbit a black hole, and it will not swallow neighbouring star systems.
Oh.
The phrase geostationary orbit is nonsense in this context.
That's
Yeah.
The second part is slow moving, with crawling through ducts.
Mm-hmm.
We do get the introduction of the orange spacesuit though.
Yeah.
Really?
Rose gets an important role in this story and destroys the creature, a reaction against the classic series, where the companion was a damsel in distress. A good story, but a bit drawn out.
I agree.
Bye for now.
Sounds like.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Ian.
I meant to point out that geostationary doesn't make sense because geostationary is in relation to the Earth or to
Right.
the planet.
Because geo means Earth.
Yes, thank you.
Not necessarily.
Right then, Robert, I sent you some blurb through.
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Via Facebook Messenger.
Right.
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
You're on this podcast, aren't you?
Yeah. Okay. I've got the correct time this week. Sorry about the email 3 weeks ago. Happy 501st episode.
Hang on, you haven't said who it's from, you silly man.
It is from Linda and Terry Miles.
Well, thank you, Robert.
Okay, so happy 501st episode. This episode, we find the Doctor and Rose on a sanctuary base on a desolate world. They then find it's in orbit around a black hole with an Earth expedition and their slaves, the Oods. They are very powerful energy hidden. They are after a very powerful energy source hidden below the surface and are boring down towards it using a drilling rig run and maintained by the Oods. But there is an even greater danger than the black hole. There is a very ancient monster imprisoned beneath the planet's surface that begins to awake due to the drilling into the planet. Very much like Inferno. Rose has to battle the... he didn't say that, I just said that. Just to clarify. Rose has to battle the evil-controlled Oods while the Doctor finds his every belief being challenged. And that's a good point about that. The best Christmas Wolford ever had. I like that.
Yes.
Jefferson sacrificed himself to save the others. The Doctor was arguing with himself again. It's getting to be a habit. Yeah, that's when he tends to go into a bit of the camp acting, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It says, there's something I didn't know. They have car seat belts instead of 4-point restraints on spacecraft of the future. Yeah, that's true. Oh, probably the budget again. Yet again, Rose wins the day by killing the big bad. Can I say something about that for a second? About Rose winning the day.
Yeah.
See, if it was back in Clara and 12th Doctor era, that would be done totally differently. In that the Doctor would have absolutely nothing to do. The Doctor would be just sitting there watching it all. Yeah, when Rose does it in this, it's not like she's taking the Doctor's place. It's just like she's being guided by the Doctor's
brave. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah.
So that's what I appreciate about the Rose's character compared to Clara's character, as we shall see later on. It says Torchwood Institute gets a mention again.
Yeah.
I wonder if they will give them their own series. Yeah, of course. Next up, the wonderful Absorbalov and Elton with his kinky moaning Myrtle in Love and Monsters. Stay safe and well, Linda and Terry Mars.
I think that Linda and Terry Mars were sort of channeling Alan T. Butcher with that last little bit, but very good
Exactly.
nevertheless. Okay, here we go.
Well,
Nothing wrong with that.
Wait, you talked over Andy's first bits. We'll play it again.
25. Well, good afternoon, 20 megabytes. Andy Linda here. It is 25 to 1 on Sunday afternoon, so I thought I'd just do a quick recording to talk about the Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit.
Very deep.
Two-parter. So obviously Kirby, yes, we're doing the 2 as 1, as you I keep asking. I don't think I do, but hey, I'm not going to try and out-pedant you. Absolute cracker, this one. Really does rock along. There's a few plot holes. I mean, when they first turn to real people, and the guy in charge of security doesn't seem to, well, at least initially, have any concern about the fact that 2 strangers have suddenly appeared on their base and come out of nowhere.
Every day, isn't it?
The one guy said they've come out of a blue box, a blue cupboard. But yeah, it's interesting that they lose the TARDIS, so they've got no way forward. Now, whether Doctor thinks he's going to get the TARDIS back or not, I don't know. And I think he realises they're stuck there. And he does seem to take control quite quickly, although Zach, as a captain, does seem to be quite a strong man. It's interesting because you've got some very disparate characters. Because you've got the lady scientist, you've got the what do they call him? Is he the Virgin? I think they called him, and something like that. Then there's the 2 young men. All do different things and slowly get bumped off. It's a bit like the Agatha Christie and Then There Were None, except they ended up with was it 2 at the end of it? No, 3, wasn't it? 3 of them survived at the end of it. But couldn't really quite work out how they got there and how long they stayed there and what the overall plan was. They obviously trying to find the source of his power, and then you've got the archaeologist as well who's trying to work out what's going on underneath the planet as well. So you've got 2 different story strands, and when he gets taken over with the beast, I think that is interesting because he doesn't know himself what's going on, and no one else does until very near the end. I think the bit towards the end of the Satan Pit where he's got the red eyes and he tells you to shh, and then suddenly they're gone again. Was particularly really well done. Quite a high body count. You got Paul Scooty who went outside. You got the security guy who basically supposed to sacrifice himself, but he knew he was gone anyway. Yeah. I suppose you go that way rather than go up Ood. I watched this with Stormageddon, both episodes. In fact, I watched the first one a couple of weeks ago when I thought we were going to do recording. And then I realised you did the Typhons instead. And he actually remembered watching it, and he watched the second one. He said, "You've watched this one before, haven't we?" And he actually found the Ood quite scary. I mean, you didn't hide behind the set you'll run out, but you tell me, I don't like the Ood, they're scared of them. It's interesting, he's starting to watch Doctor Who with me quite regularly now, and cheered when they found the TARDIS at the end. So, bringing up quite well there as well. Yeah. But it's interesting that Rose came into her own, because in a way, she almost took over at one point, when she and the Doctor had been separated, and she's telling her what to do, come on, you've got to do, you've got to do this, we can do this together. And she took the little gang of the security guy, who's Henderson, that was it, and Toby, and, really brought them through it all, and got them home. What was it at the end? I mean, it's almost like a mythological story, so, I mean, I guess that's where the Satan Pit came in, but doesn't identify as a devil, but I suppose every religion, every faith has its own demons, and perhaps this was one that I don't know. It's interesting when they're reading off various religions. Some obviously real, some made up. Who knows? But it was interesting. What was this supposed to? What was it supposed to represent? What could it have done? What was he trying to say? There's a real game of double bluff going on. The Doctor's trying to work out if you destroy these urns, you let it free. But if you set it free, you set the mind free. When you set the body free, and then he did, and then of course it meant the rockets, the planet disappeared, and the rocket got sucked back in. And then Rose, obviously, when Toby then suddenly realised Jodie was still possessed, she shot out the windscreen. How did she know there was going to be a shield there? I mean, it's just
science fiction, fantasy TV show.
It's a bit stupid. We'll put the shield down. We haven't got a shield. So I think you just, unless I missed something, someone actually saying that there was one there, and then the rocket being towed back. But then, how did they swap over? How did they get out? Was it an airlock of some kind? Has the TARDIS got an airlock? I think you've seen something like that before. Just suddenly the two swapped over. But all in all, I thoroughly enjoyed this story. It did go along quite well. A few plot holes in it, but it really does show the relationship between the Doctor and Rose. They really do trust each other and trust in each other as well. And Rose is actually getting to it quite capable young lady. When she first started with Eccleston, she really was pretty much a bimbo. But look at her now; she's strong, she's grown, she's developed. As I suppose a lot of the companions do. But there you go. Thoroughly enjoyed the 500th.
Thank you.
I was right. All I'm really known for, you know what'll happen? I'll go somewhere on holiday maybe, where I've never been before, and I meet someone who I've never met before. I'll introduce myself and say, oh yeah, you're the guy who fell asleep on the 20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast, aren't you? Be seeing you.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. It was Andy Nunny, everybody.
Yeah, that's something that I meant to mention, forgot to, is that, that rocket only had 5 seats in it. I mean, how are they going to accommodate everybody else on the ship?
I know.
It's a
Yeah, but that's all we see. There may have been another part.
Yes.
Master.
Yes.
I just ran across this.
Oh.
This is not the first time the TARDIS has been used to tow troubled vehicles out of harm's way.
No.
In The Creature from the Pit, the Fourth Doctor prevents a world-destroying collision between stars by using a gravity beam to tow a neutron star off course.
Right.
And a similar beam was used by the Seventh Doctor to steer a flying bus that's crashed into a satellite and dealt in the Bannerman.
Okay. It's fine. I haven't got a problem with it. I also haven't got a problem with there was Andy talking about how Rose would have got back to the TARDIS. Well, how did River Song walk from the sort of prison ship she was in to the TARDIS? The Doctor created some sort of atmosphere tunnel, wasn't it?
Exactly.
That she could walk
Well,
Yeah.
I think the 5th Doctor answered that one in the one where he throws the
the cricket
the ball.
ball.
That you can
Cricket
survive.
ball, yeah.
You can survive just a certain amount of time in space before.
Well, if you watch Star Trek Discovery, there's a bit of that in there. Actually, it's a very good series. Kirby, you should watch that. It's a good show. Right then,
One of these days,
Mary, it's been a
I'll
long
watch
time, but I'm pretty sure that a certain person is going to be absolutely delighted to hear your dulcet tones dictating his work.
Deep breath, Mary.
Mess of it, yes. Okay, this is from Alan T. Butcher. Yay! All right, he says, The Planet of Evil, Sutek edition, or The Doctor Falls Down to the Ground. Dear 20 Megabyters, the impossible planet, the Satan Pit, is of course a closely studied demonstration of the pitfalls of a poor human resources regime leading to a dysfunctional workplace due to inappropriate appointments to the required roles. Hey to that, alongside a clear endorsement that if you fail to bury a problem which proves impossible to ignore, then the best answer is not to solve it, but to find a bigger, more physically profound hole to bury it in. Oh, yes, exactly. Thank you, Alan. It should be noted that whilst some might assert that the beast here is not Sutek, in fact, you can tell by his voice, even if the aging process did him no favors and he kept growing. We also learned that Sutek did, after all, survive his long trip down a time corridor, which he was diverted into when he left his pyramidal prison on Mars, and he got tied up down a big hole on a planet that was too near to a hole of even greater profundity. All in all, The Impossible Planet, The Satan Pit, is a very impressive production with some pleasingly classical Doctor Who features. The storyline is quite minimal, allowing for a significant degree of world building about the usual alien context for this period in the show's history. The season's story arc is advanced in the vital scene at the start, where the Doctor and Rose laugh at the idea of walking away from danger. The double episode gives the excellent and extensive guest cast quite a good opportunity to breathe and be developed, and in some cases even more space not to breathe anymore. The TARDIS crew are separated and endangered to a greater degree than normal, and the tangible, edgy atmosphere built up through the story really distinguishes the production. There is no holding back in the confrontation with the creature from the pit, which is depicted on an epic scale, but is also given an orthographically driven, terrifying human face through Toby. The Ood, sporting perhaps the most concerning look since the Verboids, served the unnerving story well and have proved its most enduring legacy, as well as providing an accomplished traditional cliffhanger. This story is perhaps one episode too short, as who would not want to see the Doctor have a long chat about old times with the Sutek Beast. Next up, Doctor Who and the local fan club, or The Chase. Scooby-Who, where are you? Those are my thoughts. Alan T. Butcher.
Brilliant, Alan. What can you say?
Yeah,
It always is.
Yes. Okay, it's now time for Doctor Who news. To start off with, a little bit of news cropped up during the week when Toby Selby, a BBC producer, passed away. Sadly, he got confused with Toby Selby, a Doctor Who actor who played Glitz, and everyone was posting R.I.P. and pictures of poor old, currently still alive, Tony Selby. So I felt really sorry for friends of Tony Selby who may have really believed that their friend had passed away when it was another Tony Selby, one of the biggest internet clangers of all time. So it's nice to be report that that Tony Selby, actor who played Glitz, is still alive. But my sympathies, like I said on the 20 megabyte page, to the family and friends of Tony Selby, BBC producer, who passed away. There has also been other passings of recent times. I think we may have mentioned that Damaris Heyman died at the age of 91. Obviously very, very well known and iconic in the Damons. I think she did some big finishes, didn't she, Mary?
I'm sorry, what?
No, I don't remember doing big finish. She's done.
Says in 2017 she returned to the character to appear in The White Witch of Devil's End, a spin-off story based on the character.
Okay.
So, hang on, my star
because that's the BBV, is it, or the real-time pictures? I can't remember.
Oh, maybe you're right. What I don't think what real-time still doing in 2017?
They're still going. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. We also have the passing of Jackie Lane, who played Dodo. Now, I was talking about Jackie Lane a couple of weeks ago because I was watching the series that BritBox have put up that include interviews with Doctor Who stars that were filmed in the 70s and 80s by certain people, Doctor Who fans, who were able to gain access to them. And I just started watching the Jackie Lane one. Because it's not somebody you hear of a lot in regards to her talking about her time in Doctor Who, so that's why I found it particularly interesting to watch. But she has indeed died at the age of 79. So
do you know she used to be an agent for Tom Baker?
Is she?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what it says here, actually. Yes, she was a theatrical agent representing Tom Baker.
And Miss Jovanka?
Pardon?
And Miss Jovanka, otherwise known as Janet Fielding.
Oh, I didn't know that either. Well done. Doctor Who magazine 566 is out, and Kirby, you might be aware of where you might be to buy this magazine that features Jodie Whittaker and Mandip Gill on the cover.
Would that be whone.co.uk?
No, it's various. Oh yes, you can get it from whone.co.uk. It says
is that whone.co.uk?
In that issue are a CGI reconstruction of the sets from episode 4 of the 10th Planet. A tribute to the late Roy Scammell, who performed some of Doctor Who's most spectacular stunts.
Yeah, he was very famous for that one on the Ambassadors of Death, where he doubles for a pregnant Caroline John.
Okay.
Going over that dam or that.
Yes. The performance that recreated sections of Richard Rodney Bennett's score for 1964 story Aztecs, the story of Donald Wilson, and the part he played in the creation of Doctor Who. An interview with the museum owner who restores and exhibits Doctor Who monster costumes.
Yeah, that's pretty good, that.
Collectivity meets the fans who love Doctor Who audio cassettes. Opocryphia, or something like Opocryphia, looks back at the 1978 Target book, Doctor Who Discovers Strange and Mysterious Creatures.
Oh, yeah, those. I think I got that.
The Fact of Fiction analysis of the 2014 episode Kill the Moon. Sufficient data crunches Doctor Who's numbers. Previews, reviews, news, blah, 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 blah. Doctor Who magazine issue 566 is on sale from panini.co.uk and W. H. Smith, whone.co.uk from the Thursday, the 24th of June. Price £5.99. And that, talking about that, that's for some reason reminded me of... Oh, I've forgotten it now. It reminded me for about 5 seconds before I forgot it.
My goodness. Was it an article from the DWN that reminded you of something?
Yeah, no, it's just... there's something in it that reminded me of something I was going to talk about, and then I went off on a tangent and forgot it.
The cassettes, the audio cassettes?
No, unfortunately, no, nothing to do with that. It's something I've watched recently.
Concert?
No, it's something I've watched recently. It's just reminded me of that. Never mind. Did you say concert?
The concert with Rodney Bennett, that music.
No, it's not that. No, but like Kirby says, you can buy Doctor Who magazine from whowon.co.uk now.
Is that whowon.co.uk?
I think it is whowon.co.uk.
Might be whowon.co.uk.
It was an interview with the museum. Yes, I remembered. I've remembered. It was that bit. Shush! I've remembered, Kirby. Shush! I've remembered. Thank you.
Did it hurt?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so I was... what? Oh, bollocks. It's because I'm tired. I just forget things really quickly. Yes, I was watching something on Discovery Plus. There's a little series, slightly silly, but fun series in which... Christopher Lloyd and this bloke go around trying to find a original DeLorean from the movies, which they can give to...
Graveyard Cars?
I don't know. Which they can give to Michael J. Fox for his Parkinson's Foundation thingy. I've only watched the first 3 episodes, but it's such fun because there's so many little cameos from people that were in the Back to the Future series, and including Leah Thompson and a few others. It's an absolute dream and fun to watch.
What's the show called?
Pardon?
What's it called?
He doesn't remember.
Well, I don't know, so I'll have to turn the telly on. It's on Discovery Plus. But it's great because they go to the DeLorean. I suppose you'd have to call it a factory, which isn't owned by DeLorean anymore, but they're still able to, repair cars with what?
The guy who founded the car company died several years back.
No, but the company is owned by somebody.
It went bust anyway.
From Liverpool, funny enough. Yeah, no, but it still exists. It's there. There's a what do you call it? A location for DeLorean, so where you can get DeLoreans revamped. They've got a huge warehouse with every single part in imagination for DeLoreans. But that was just one part of this.
It's called Expedition Back to the Future.
Something like that, yeah. But it's so good.
No, I know what it's called because I looked it up.
It's so good, Kirby. It's slightly tongue in cheek because they do put a few little scenes together just for comedy effect, but you can tell that the enthusiasm for the artifacts from these collectors have from Back to the Future is genuine, and it's if you like Back to the Future, which I absolutely adore it's got to be watched. So I just want to put a little plug in for that. So that was
on one of the Blu-ray sets, they actually do a restoration of the car used in the movie.
And somebody on the Isle of Wight owns a DeLorean, so just wanted to say...
Back when I lived in Chicago,
actually,
one of my neighbours had a DeLorean.
I think the owner of... Because Rob Mead, he's a man that looks after iwheroes.co.uk, but the owner of the store...
Is it iwheroes.co.uk?
The owner of the store is the
UK.
owner of the DeLorean. That's just a coincidence. A chap called James. Doctor Who Chronicles 1975. Second issue of... in a new series of bookazines, the Doctor Who Chronicles has been released by the makers of Doctor Who magazine. The issue takes us back to 1975. Not sure whether you can get that from Who On or not, but it might be worth looking into it. And there's some more Lethbridge Stewart literature coming out. And these seem to be very, very popular. They're by Candy Jar Books, by various different authors, and if you like, The Brig. That's a good series to get. Doctors Behind the Scenes. After the success of the compilation of Mythmakers interviews featuring the Doctors and their companions, Time Travel TV are releasing a new 13 DVD collection, this time focusing on the behind-the-scenes heroes and heroines that brought Doctor Who to life. Each release will feature over 5 hours nostalgia, aiming to provide a whole new insight into the making of the series. New paperbacks from Penguin Random House, The Wonderful Doctor of Oz, which features a sort of artwork containing Missy on the cover. Legends of Camelot, written by Jacqueline Rayner. And the Team TARDIS Diaries, with sort of like cartoon versions of the current, well, almost current TARDIS team. Candy Jar, obviously, still releasing books like The Beast of Fangrock, which we talked about last time. So yeah, lots of things starting to generate on DoctorWhoNews.com. There's not been talk of a new series of Doctor Who, so I don't think it's going to be with us till the new year, because there was initially a hint it might come out in the autumn, but they would have been dropping little teasers by now if it was coming out.
As far as I'm concerned, it could stay away.
There's no need for that. I'm still going to watch it so we can moan about it.
The Doctor and Mandip, answering questions, so they're still trying to keep it in front of us.
But I will say, like I've said before, it's not as good as it used to be, but there's still some really good stories. So we just have to watch it for those little tidbits, because there are, each series they've brought out with Chibnall in charge, there's been at least one really good story stroke episode.
Yes. So
I'm sorry, I'm just keeping that in my heart, that Doctor Who isn't completely and utter rubbish. There is hope. And I do get excited by new episodes, even if they turn out to be rubbish. It's just nice to see new Doctor Who. Right then, so that's news. We have mentioned our sponsors, well, two of them, but we haven't mentioned Lavazi.co.uk yet. And I'm just going to have a quick peek to see if they got any bargains going, because I know there were offers. Things reduced. Oh yeah, the Doctor Who customised shoulder bag is now down from $89.99 to $69.99. The Christmas jumper is back or relisted. Be careful with sizings on that. If you go for 2XL, it's going to be tight. So just go for a couple of sizes big, because it's a snug jumper. And of course, you can still get the Seventh Doctor's amazing question mark jumper and stuff like that, along with the usual scarves. And if you're a lady that wants to cosplay the 13th Doctor, or need a man that wants to cosplay the 13th Doctor, you can get the scarves, the 13th Doctor scarves from Lavazi.co.uk.
Wonderful scarves.
I will mention
all their scarves.
What?
All their scarves are wonderful.
They are, yeah. iwheroes.co.uk. There's not been a massive load of new pop vinyls come out that would appeal to me, although I did get the KFC man a couple of weeks ago. That's Colonel Sanders. But a new range of posable figures for Marvel. What they call it? It's a franchise, isn't it? For the Marvel franchise has been released, including Loki.
Are you watching Loki?
In his variant suit. What did you say?
Yes. Are you watching Loki?
Of course I'm watching Loki. It's brilliant. Love it.
Wonderful.
I'm not too sure that Lady Loki is the greatest of actors. Bearing in mind, I think she's trying to sound like Loki, but she sounds a bit like a Northerner. And nothing wrong with sounding like a Northerner, because obviously every planet has a north. I'm not sure every Loki would be Northern. But, am I spoiling things by saying every Loki? Oh, well, I've said it now, haven't I? But yeah, there's the Marvel Legends series, which are 6-inch posable action figures, including Loki in his variant suit. There's a few others that have come out as well from the Marvel range. Let's have a quick look. I'm typing Marvel Legends. But it's so good. Yeah, Loki's a great series. Really is. Love it. It sort of has for me, it's a bit like a cross between Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Doctor Who in some ways.
Yes.
With a bit of the villains that everybody seems to want to love. Like the Master was a villain that everybody loved, isn't it? And Loki's certainly one of those. So we've got the Winter Soldier action figure, which really does look like him in the face. The fake the Captain America. Of course, so we've got the Falcon Captain America in full Captain America regalia. The Scarlet Witch action figure, which I tell you what, the Funko Pop of the Scarlet Witch is beautiful, and so is the Agatha one as well. And the Vision action figure. These are beautifully constructed, accurate, posable action figures. That's why they're so blimmin' expensive at £23.99. But the one that I know Isabella would like, she's a particular fan of Zemo. She absolutely loves Zemo as a villain. And there's one for him too. Plus the original, the John Walker Captain America with a changeable head. Remember the old changeable head you used to get with Doctor Who? Namely the Fourth Doctor. But yes, some great stuff coming through, which you can purchase if you live in the United Kingdom from iwheroes.co.uk. Have I forgotten anything?
Any stray feedback?
Let's have a quick peep. Robert Vance Jr. says the Ood on the Loo. The Ood on the that was in some of the 11th Doctor little mini pods, wasn't it? The Ood on the Loo. There was one staying with Amy and Rory, wasn't there? If I remember rightly.
Right.
Well, I thought that was. I may have misremembered that. But never mind. I'm sure I was going to mention something.
Let me check and see if there's
we're
any...
talking about stuff we were watching on telly. Yeah, so that was we talk about Loki. We covered it slightly. It's an episode per week at the moment. Are you up to date with it, Kirby?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, good series. And Tom Hiddleston's obviously adores playing the character. I just hope it would just be nice to see, because I know also that Chris Hemsworth adores playing Thor, but he'd nice a bit of a Thor cameo. I'm holding out for that.
Yes.
Throughout the series. I know we've seen him on the screen, but it'd be nice to have a proper Thor cameo somewhere along the line. But yeah, it's very enjoyable. More enjoyable than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I also enjoyed, but I still... Actually, in a way, it's slightly more enjoyable than WandaVision, because it's less confusing. But,
yeah, true.
But I think WandaVision was meant to be confusing to keep you engaged with it, and they did a great job of that. Anyway, so
the production design of Loki as really helping keep you engaged with it.
Yeah, it's great.
I like the retro look of the TVA. Oh, and also I believe it was the second episode where they used the inside of Atlanta's Marriott Marquis Hotel.
Oh yes.
Which is where Dragon Con and also Furry Weekend Atlanta conventions are held. That as the main inside view of the TVA. It's what I've been watching. Last night, Fred wanted to watch a movie she found on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it was actually very well done. It's a Chinese production produced by what's the name of the kung fu guy, very famous?
Bruce Lee?
No.
More
recent.
Maurice Sent. Is that a French bloke? Maurice Sent?
Anyway, it's called The Wish Dragon. It's basically a Chinese version of Aladdin. And it knows at the beginning you're watching this and you're going, they're just redoing Aladdin. Because they hit on a lot of the same things, but then it goes sideways and it's not exactly Aladdin. It's really worth watching.
Excellent, thank you, Kirby. Before I go, I want to mention that Wales Comic Con, who hopefully we've had a convention put out this week, so not put out that was staged this week. So my hopes are high for Comic Con's coming back. But we're supposed to be going to Wales Comic Con in November,
Jackie
so I'm
Chan.
really keeping my fingers crossed out. But Dolph Lundgren is going to be there. I like that man because he takes a mickey out of himself. And also, Brian Cox is going to be there, so that's quite exciting because he's been in Doctor Who. Well, his voice has. But obviously he is more famous for being Wolverine's nemesis. Okay, I'll shut up then because no one else knows what I'm talking about. Michelle Collins, who was supposed to be at Fantasy Con actually, famous for being in EastEnders and Coronation Street. She's going to be. Oh, what?
Yeah.
In
Is
both?
that the scientist?
She was in both.
Or the actor?
Well, Michelle Collins.
Yeah, she's an actress.
You'd have a scientist called Michelle Collins in EastEnders and
No,
Coronation
going
Street.
to Brian Cox.
No, Brian Cox. Why would the scientist Brian Cox be in Doctor Who?
Why not?
And
He was
in
in
the
Doctor
X-Men?
Who, wasn't he?
I believe he was in Doctor Who.
Was he in the X-Men then?
He was on the screen.
Was he in the
Do
X-Men?
you remember?
Was he in the X-Men? Did he play Wolverine's nemesis?
He could
in the
have.
X-Men? What?
in another universe.
So, all right, let's give him a clue. These are the hashtags attached to Brian Cox. Manhunter, X-Men 2, The Bourne Identity, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Braveheart, The Ring, Troy,
Was
Rob Roy,
one of the
Super
Ring
Troopers,
ones, wasn't he, or something like that?
Succession and Good Omens. So does that have the same link to the Brian Cox you're referring to? It's gone all quiet.
Right,
He was in one of the
Master?
Ring movies, wasn't he?
I don't know.
Yeah, he was, because I remember seeing
Joe Finnegan's going to
Naomi
be
Campbell. No, Naomi Watts.
there. Naomi Watts.
Yeah.
Don't know who that is.
Naomi Watts. And there was a spooked horse.
A spooked horse.
Yeah, come on. In one of the scenes. Oh.
Brian
Probably
Cox
haven't
was
seen
in The Power of Three.
Angus
The
McInnes.
scientist.
Yeah.
That's some really good. There are Devon Isabella are sort of a bit disappointed about it, but there's some really good people, including Ian McDermott. I think that's a massive, legend to get at the event.
Who's that?
Mark Williams is going to be there. Who's Mark Williams? Well, Mark Williams
We
was
know
in
who
Doctor
Mark
Who.
Williams is.
He was in Dinosaurs and the
Harry
Spaceship.
Potter.
No, he was in Dinosaurs and the Spaceship. That's more important than Harry Potter.
He was the Weasley father.
Yes, he was.
Maybe
And of
he
course,
was Weasley.
Of course, a Star Trek connection. Jason Isaacs is going to be there. Arthur Darvill.
Discovery.
Actually, another thing besides being a Weasley, he was in the very first episode of Red Dwarf.
Okay. Billie Piper is going to be there. She was
Never heard
in.
of her.
What's the hashtags for her?
I like Red Dwarf.
She was in Diary of a Secret Driver Call Girl, Penny Dreadful, and I Hate Susie. And she was nominated for the BAFTA quite recently too. An actress
Wasn't
called
she also in the Banana Splits?
Yeah, she did. Julie Benz, who's a very pretty
By the
woman.
way, Fred has asked me, has said that particular meme that I created for that was mean and that I should not post it. So, of course, I will post it.
Yeah, it may have been a little bit on the mean side, but quite funny too. Julie Benz, she's a very pretty lady who was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Dexter, Rambo, and Desperate Housewives. Oh my God, there's a Doctor Who group photo op available. I'm just getting this file from the monitor. Now, the exciting thing about this Doctor Who group offer, I've bought one, but the actors in it
What is
are
that?
Bolin Kaker, Maul Pecan, Dieter Pavison, Milvester Secoy, and David Dradley. So that's going to be a nice.
Don't know any of them.
5 doctors. So I'm going to, hopefully, if everything goes to plan, get my picture taken with 5 doctors. Not the 5 doctors, but 5 doctors. So that's exciting, isn't it? No? Well, I think it is.
Yeah,
maybe.
It is.
I mean, obviously, I've had my picture taken with 2 of those doctors, as in Sylvester and Paul. And I've also had my picture taken with Sylvester and Colin. So, but I've never had my picture taken with Peter Davison before, so that'd be really cool. So I'm going to try and set it up so I'm stood next to Peter Davison for that picture. Yes.
I've had my picture taken next to
Oh,
Peter
here
Davison.
we go.
We had him on the podcast.
Yeah, whatever.
Rub it in.
Yeah. I dropped the name first. Yeah, that's about it really. As far as Wales Comic Con goes, just really, really excited that there might
Mary
be a
only
chance
cares about one doctor.
that there might be a chance of meeting these people. Right, so that's it for this week. I'm going to go and get a bath, and I really do need, even though I've had a nice glass of water here, I need a nice glass of Morgan spiced rum with a little dash of cola.
Oh, yummy.
Yes, indeed. I'm going to have that.
That sounds very nice.
And sit with my feet up and see if I can load some of the pictures I took at the wedding yesterday, of which I wasn't the official photographer for, I was the assistant photographer,
Or the backup photographer.
But it was for my friend Mick, whose wedding it was, and I'd like to have a look at the
Since
pictures. What I took. Pardon?
Since you were the backup photographer, you were going around the place going beep, beep.
That's
beep.
really funny, Kirby. No, it isn't. Right, so hopefully if I'm allowed to do a podcast next week, you never know, because I'm actually off work next week, and if I get enough work done during the day, I'll be allowed to do a podcast next week. We will be reviewing a Doctor Who story called...
One of the best ones ever.
Love.
Love and Monsters. Yes, Love and Monsters. When you said the best one ever, I knew what you were talking about then. And that's the one that makes Mary go the most. But it won't be, because when Mary sees Fear Her, which is not far afterwards, she'll be... we can be maybe agree. Me and Mary may be agreeing quite wholeheartedly.
I agree with Fear Her, but I disagree. I'm one of the people that loves Love and Monsters.
I'm one of the people that loves Love and Monsters, but I don't really like admitting it
need to be on next week then.
You're not going to be on next week.
Because we already know what he likes.
Yeah, no,
he likes it.
Yeah, what can you do? But anyway,
well,
that's
9 years ago we discussed it, and I had the same opinion.
Whatever. That's about it. Nothing coming through on the live feed. We've still got 3 viewers, which is
hang it in there, or they fell asleep.
Maybe. And if one of them was Andy, then they would have done. So until next week, thank you for listening, watching, and taking part in the show. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Fancy Pants.
Bye.
Bye.
On a Sunday, well, I know I'm gonna do another podcast show with you. Every podcast that we do, we try to talk about an episode or two. When it started, it was recorded anywhere, from a toilet at his work to a car park. Now more often, it's recorded from his home, but occasionally you still can hear the dog bark. And we have done 500 shows. When you count them up, that's quite a few. Just so you can listen to our lovely gang talking about Doctor Who. Then the name drops famous people that he's met, but I know he's never heard from Ashton Kutcher. Then there's feedback, the overcomplicated words sent to us by Councillor Alan T. Butcher. Then the listeners come from all over the world. Some are women, some are not, and some are manly. Then there's Billy, a true Brit living out in Oz, and the only fan I know of Accrington Stanley. And we have done 500 shows. When you count them up, that's quite a few. Just so you can listen to our lovely gang talking about Doctor Who. It's the podcast, Adam's podcast, and it's been recorded weekly since the late noughties. It's the podcast, Adam's podcast, and initially it featured both his daughters. When we're recording, we're all waiting from a text from our leader Adam saying, "Are you ready?" Ain't got long though. Have to be real quick this week, or I'll get a right kick in from the wife Debbie. But well done, Adam, for doing all 500 shows. All that equipment that you have ain't got no roadie. As for me, well, I'll watch the TV show again just as soon as they replace that fella Jodie. Just as soon as they replace that fella Jodie. One more time, and we have done 500 shows. When you count them up, that's quite a few. Just so you can listen to our lovely gang talking about Doctor Who. It's the podcast, Adam, Kirby, Bartlett, Slow, Mary, Blitzlang. It's the podcast, Adam's podcast, Kirsty and I usually make up the gang. It's the podcast, Adam's podcast, Kirby often utters his catchphrase master. It's the podcast, Adam's podcast, and his sound effects are a massive disaster. And we have done 500 shows. When you count them up, that's quite a few. Just so you can listen to our lovely gang talking about Doctor Who.
Oh, yeah.
Hello, my name's Toby Haydock, which will probably excite and annoy in equal measure. You're listening to the 20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast. Continue so to do.
The 20 Megabyte Doctor Who podcast is an APV Services production sponsored by whowon.co.uk, lavazi.co.uk and iwheroes.co.uk. We are a proud member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance. Doctor Who is a trademark of the BBC. No copyright infringement intended.